What you're about to watch is a congressional hearing that cuts to the heart of two urgent questions facing American democracy. Who controls the military, and does accountability still matter? On one side of the table, a lawmaker demanding answers. On the other, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, a man whose path to one of the most powerful offices on earth raises questions that didn't begin in that hearing room, and won't end there. Let's break it down.
You're telling me that that a 1 square mile block of LA, and for the record, LA County is over 4,700 square miles, warrants the deployment of 700 Marines and the federalization of 4,000 California National Guardsmen. You testified earlier that you will send in the military to protect local law enforcement. Did LAPD Police Chief McDonnell ask you for your help?
I read reports on a regular basis.
Did he ask for your help?
From ICE agents
I'll take that as a no.
More grateful.
Did LA Sheriff Luna ask for you to send in the military, Mr. Secretary? Yes or no?
I don't work for the LA Sheriff, sir.
Well, you said you sent them in to support the military, but they didn't even ask for your, to support law enforcement, but they didn't even ask for your help.
Watch what's happening at the Pentagon right now, because it started long before.
Let's pause here, because what we're witnessing isn't just a tense exchange, it's a constitutional flashpoint. The congressman is raising a foundational question. Under what legal and democratic authority were thousands of military personnel deployed to a domestic protest zone without the request, or even the knowledge, of local law enforcement? The Posse Comitatus Act, a federal law dating back to 1878, generally restricts the use of active-duty military in domestic law enforcement. When Secretary Hegseth deflects with, "I don't work for the LA Sheriff," he's technically correct, but constitutionally, that's not the point. The question is whether the federal government bypassed the democratic input of the very communities those troops were sent to protect. And here's where it gets complicated. The $134 million price tag cited later in this hearing, and troops diverted from real-world theaters like the Indo-Pacific and NATO, raises a hard question that transcends politics. Is this a national security decision, or a political one? And more importantly, who gets to decide the difference? And when does Congress get a say?
Before Hegseth ever walked through those doors. Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense of the United States. He controls the largest military force on the planet, 2 million personnel, nuclear weapons, the whole thing. And before that job, he was sitting on a couch on Fox News on Saturday mornings. That's not a metaphor. That's the resume. And here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Everything we are seeing at the Pentagon right now, the chaos, the leaks, the firings, the classified war plans texted to his wife, none of it is a surprise, because this man left a trail, a very long, very documented trail, and the people in charge ignored every single warning sign. So let's go back. Let's look at exactly who Pete Hegseth was before anyone handed him the keys to the American military.
Mr. Secretary, I just got word that Senator Padilla from my great state of California was physically assaulted and arrested for attending Secretary Noem's press event. The mere fact that he showed up, he was forcibly removed. Is this how you would treat a member of Congress who attends your press event, whether invited or not?
Well, I've been here for 5 hours, sir. I don't know about that.
I'm just asking, would you have me forcibly removed from your press event?
I'm not going to speculate on a hypothetical. I'm sure there's more context.
I'll take that as a yes. Mr. Secretary, does the DOD have any plans to allow the military to follow the orders of President Trump when his order violates the Constitution? Yes or no?
I reject the premise of that question, which is that President Trump is ordering unconstitutional orders.
I'll take that as a yes as well. Mr. Secretary, the deployment of active duty Marines to California is incredibly disruptive to the lives of service members who are being drawn into the president's publicity stunt. And I want to know how you're planning to take care of these troops. So will you commit to sending my office and this committee a detailed plan on how you plan to house and feed the 700 Marines and potentially thousands of Marines?
What's disruptive is when concrete blocks are thrown at the heads of ICE officers. And so we're proud that National Guardsmen and Marines have responded in real time to help defend those federal law enforcement officers.
So do you have a plan? Do you have a plan to house?
Not only do we have a plan, but it's been a focus of mine. I've held a riot shield before in a riot. I recognize what it means to respond in real time without enough time.
Mr. Secretary, will you get me that plan?
Everything they can as fast as they can, and we have a plan for that.
Mr. Secretary, I reclaim my plan. Chairwoman, LA Mayor Bass stated that the area placed under the recent curfew is around 1 square mile. Is that the same area where service members will be deployed?
Service members are in Los Angeles to defend law enforcement, ICE agents, and facilities.
So essentially you're telling me that American people that a 1 square mile block of LA, and for the record, LA County is over 4,700 square miles, warrants the deployment of 700 Marines and the federalization of 4,000 California National Guardsmen. You testified earlier that you will send in the military to protect local law enforcement. Did LAPD Police Chief McDonnell ask you for your help?
I read reports on a regular basis.
Did he ask for your help?
From ICE agents
I'll take that as a no.
More grateful.
Did LA Sheriff Luna ask for you to send in the military, Mr. Secretary? Did LA Sheriff Luna ask you to send in the military? Yes or no?
I don't work for the LA Sheriff, sir.
Well, you said you sent them in to support the military, but they didn't even ask for your, to support law enforcement, but they didn't even ask for your help. Have you been to Los Angeles in the last 7 days?
My team is from the top down focused on making sure Los Angeles
I'll also take that as a no. How did you arrive at the decision not to coordinate with local law enforcement and the governor's office on the initial deployment?
It would be great if the governor attempted to actually coordinate instead of grandstand.
All right, so I believe you're secretly deploying troops to an area without coordinating with local officials is somehow not disruptive and to the logistical and operational conditions on the ground. You agree with that?
I would need you to repeat the question, sir.
Does the department plan on coordinating with Governor Newsom's office on local law enforcement and local law enforcement going forward, Mr. Secretary?
We've coordinated with local law enforcement quite well, but the governor's been an obstruction to that, of course.
All right, Secretary Hegseth, this political stunt, and by your own admission, is expected to cost the American taxpayer at least $134 million and will disrupt the lives of hundreds and potentially thousands of active duty Marines and 4,000 National Guardsmen. That's $134 million and thousands of personnel diverted away from critical missions in the Indo-Pacific, where China is rapidly expanding from Europe, where NATO needs U.S. support amid growing Russian aggression, and from CENTCOM, where tensions are escalating so critically that your own General Kurilla had to cancel all his testimony in Congress today. Your redirection of combat-ready troops from real-world national security threats to manage a domestic protest is gross mismanagement and a slap in the face of service members whose lives are disrupted throughout this event. As a veteran myself, it's a disgrace, and you should be ashamed. I yield back.
The gentleman.
Madam Chair, can we add into record, please, that the gentleman from California has just stated that it is okay to have 1 mile of complete criminality in LA so long as it doesn't cover the 4700.
That was not my statement.
Madam Chair,
that it's
Mills,
okay.
Mr. Mills has not been recognized.
This is absolutely
Neither gentleman
You're putting words in my
is
mouth,
recognized.
Congressman.
have the right
Mr.
you have not been recognized
Neither
by
gentleman
the
is
chair.
recognized. The chair now
And I have
recognizes the
controls the time.
congressman.
Pete Hegseth became a Fox News contributor in 2014. By 2017, he was co-hosting Fox and Friends Weekend. That's the job, weekend morning television. He wasn't running logistics for a combat unit. He wasn't managing a department with 1,000 employees. He was doing segments about woke military culture and arguing that video games cause mass shootings. Some of his on-air assertions, like linking video games to mass shootings and unverified claims about migrant caravans, were amplified beyond the program and criticized for lacking verification. These weren't small mistakes. These were the things that made him famous. The more irresponsible the claim, the bigger the audience. That was the game, and Hegseth played it perfectly. But behind the camera, something else was happening entirely. 10 current and former Fox News employees told NBC News that Hegseth drank in ways that concerned his colleagues. 2 of those people said that on more than a dozen occasions during his time as co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, they smelled alcohol on him before he went on air. Those same people, plus another, said he appeared on television after they'd heard him talk about being hungover as he was getting ready on set. Read that again. More than a dozen times. Hungover, on air, on national television, presenting himself as the voice of the American military. And it wasn't just Fox. A whistleblower report on Hegseth's tenure as president of Concerned Veterans for America from 2013 to 2016 describes him as being repeatedly intoxicated while acting in his official capacity to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events. Carried out of veterans' events. While leading that organization, the New Yorker reported that Hegseth was forced out of previous leadership positions for financial mismanagement, sexist behavior, and being repeatedly intoxicated on the job. That's not one allegation, that's a pattern. Financial mismanagement, sexist behavior, drunk on the job, at multiple organizations. Then there's his personal life. The New York Times reported that Hegseth's own mother accused her son of mistreating women for years. In 2018, while Hegseth was divorcing his second wife after having an affair, his mother Penelope wrote to him, "I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man." His own mother. Those are not words you write to someone unless you have watched years of behavior that left you no other choice. Inside Fox, staffers buzzed about Hegseth cheating on his second wife with Jennifer Roche, a producer on the morning show. A Fox executive confirmed the affair and said Roche showed favoritism toward Hegseth, keeping him on television, giving him airtime he might not have otherwise earned. So the man who got promoted because he was sleeping with the producer. And nobody said a word. When Trump nominated him, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer called Hegseth one of the most erratic, unqualified, and unfit cabinet nominees we have ever seen in modern times. He was confirmed anyway, by one vote. The vice president had to break the tie, one vote, for the person now in charge of the United States military. Then he got to work. And within weeks, the Pentagon started falling apart. According to The Atlantic, Hegseth revealed how a strike would unfold and when, including the use of F-18 fighter jets and Tomahawk cruise missiles. "This is when the first bombs will definitely drop," Hegseth wrote at one point, referencing Yemen and noting the military time of 1,415 ahead of the strike. He typed that in a Signal group chat on his personal phone 2 to 4 hours before the bombs actually fell, and that chat included a journalist. A reporter for The Atlantic who had been accidentally added to the group, the Secretary of Defense texted active strike timelines to a journalist before the strike happened. With American pilots in the air. The Pentagon Inspector General found that Hegseth shared similar details via Signal about U.S. military operations in Yemen with several other people who were not authorized to review the information. One of those chats included his wife, his brother, and his personal lawyer. His wife, his brother, his personal lawyer. None of them authorized to see classified military operational data, but they got it, because Pete Hegseth sent it from his personal phone. The Inspector General report concluded, "The Secretary's transmission of non-public operational information over Signal to an uncleared journalist and others 2 to 4 hours before planned strikes, using his personal cell phone exposed sensitive DoD information. And when investigators came to ask him about it, Hegseth declined to sit for an in-person interview with the Inspector General." The report confirmed this, noting it is highly unusual for senior officials to decline. The man who runs the Pentagon refused to answer questions about his own conduct. Refused. Hegseth did not order a damage assessment after the disclosure. Multiple current and former U.S. officials said that was unusual, particularly since the Pentagon Inspector General determined the information shared was from a document marked classified at the time. He didn't want to know what he broke, because finding out would mean admitting it mattered. The response from his team? Hegseth posted on social media, "No classified information. Total exoneration. Case closed. Case closed." American pilot strike timelines texted to his wife and a journalist, and it's case closed. Now connect this back to the hearing in this transcript.
What Congressman Derek Tran, a veteran himself, laid out in that room wasn't partisan theater. It was a documented reckoning. $134 million in taxpayer funds, thousands of troops diverted from real global threats, China in the Indo-Pacific, Russia pressing NATO, CENTCOM on the brink. all redirected to police a 1 square mile protest zone in Los Angeles, without the request of local law enforcement, without coordination with state officials, and without a coherent public accountability framework. And the man making those decisions is the same man who, according to federal investigators, texted classified strike details to unauthorized individuals, including a journalist hours before U.S. pilots were in the air, who declined to cooperate with the Inspector General, who was confirmed by a single tiebreaker vote. The transcript asked the right question. Would Hegseth forcibly remove a congressman from his press event? He refused to answer. But the fuller question this coverage raises isn't really about that hearing room at all. It's about the standard we hold the people in power to, and what it means when every warning sign is documented, public, and ignored. What do you think? Should Congress have more oversight power over military deployments on U.S. soil? Was this a legitimate security operation or a political statement? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want fact-based breakdowns on the stories shaping American governance, like, share, and subscribe. We'll keep doing the work.
Congressman Derek Tran, a veteran himself, sat across from Hegseth and laid it out plainly. Marines and National Guardsmen being diverted. $134 million. Troops pulled away from the Indo-Pacific, from NATO, from CENTCOM, where tensions were so severe that General Kurilla had to cancel his own congressional testimony, all redirected to manage a 1 square mile protest zone in Los Angeles. And Hegseth's answer was essentially, we held riot shields, so trust us. This is the man making those decisions. A man whose colleagues said was showing up drunk to television. A man whose own mother said he uses people for his ego. A man who texted war plans to his wife. A man who refused to cooperate with federal investigators. A man confirmed to lead 2 million service members by a single vice presidential tiebreaker. The transcript asked the right question. Would Hegseth forcibly remove a congressman from his press event? He wouldn't answer. He said he wouldn't speculate on a hypothetical. But here's the thing, it's not hypothetical anymore. He already showed us who he is. He showed us at Fox. He showed us in those signal chats. He showed us when he refused the Inspector General. He's been showing us for years. The question was never whether Pete Hegseth was qualified. It was whether anyone in power cared enough to look.